way of mangling any of the several languages he'd almost mastered. An elegant summary of our position, Ballista said. He swung his big frame down from his mount. Rikia, would you take Palehorse back to the camp and bring up my war harness? As the Vandal led the gelding away, Ballista walked over to where the vanguard of the expedition, a detachment from the 30th Legion, sat huddled against the rock face. The centurion got to his feet and saluted. It does not take a man skilled in physiognomy to read our future in your face, sir. Not all centurions were ex-soldiers. Some were commissioned directly from well-off equestrian families. Ferox liked to remind people of his educated origins. Ballista smiled. Indeed, centurion, we are to have the honour of leading the way into the pass. As we go in, the archers from Emesa will distract the enemy by shooting over our heads. When the men are ready, I will say a few words. We will do what is ordered, and at every command we will be ready. Ferox bustled off, snapping out orders, gesturing his legionaries into place with the vine stick that marked his rank. Affluent background or not, the centurion had served with the legion for years. On the march up, Ballista had come to appreciate that Ferox knew what he was about. Where the snow had melted, the road was wet and slick underfoot. Elsewhere, patches had been trodden down to sheet ice. A slip might be fatal. Ballista leaned against a boulder, drew his dagger, and began to clean the hobnails on his boots. He worked methodically, careful not to cut himself. His fingers were cold and clumsy with the beginning of an all-too-familiar apprehension. The strategy of the Emperor had been good. The rebel Posthumus held Gaul and commanded the routes through the Alps. Spring had come early. As soon as scouts had reported the first signs of the thaw, Gallienus had marched from Mediolanum to Augusta Praetoria in the Italian foothills. 2 passes led from there through the mountains. A decoy force had gone west into the easier passage. Gallienus and the main body of the imperial army had taken this less frequented northern path. The Praetorian Prefect Volusianus had been sent hurrying ahead with 3,000 men to seize the heights. The strategy had been well thought out, but it had not worked. They had caught an enemy picket that morning on the other side of the last ridge below the summit. The 4 frightened auxiliaries had told their story. Last autumn, Posthumus had posted their cohort in this desolate place called Summus Penninus. All winter they'd been cut off. The snow never stopped. It had threatened to crush the buildings in which they were barracked just beyond the pass. Supplies had run short. Raised in Aquitania, they had never known such cold in the gentle plains by the Atlantic. No, there was no other way through the peaks. Nothing but jagged rocks and awful chasms. Volusianus and the other officers in his war council had accepted the statements of the prisoners. Ballista had been a lone voice, arguing that they should take the time to question the local shepherd they'd also captured. Ballista had been overruled. There could be no delay. The auxiliaries had been stationed here for months and would have known any alternative tracks. The pass had to be taken by the next day, or the whole army would be trapped, strung out along the bleak and treacherous road. Ballista wiped the dagger clean on his breeches and sheathed it. There was something very wrong about all this. At Thermopylae, a traitor had revealed a goat path around the narrows. The Emperor Septimus Severus had only forced the Cilician gates when the defenders had feared they would be outflanked. No one stormed a mountain pass head-on in the face of determined troops. There was always a way around. The crisp sunshine gave no warmth, but illuminated the mountains with a startling clarity. Snow lay thick on the crests and in the hollows, dazzling white against the black of the rocks. No trees or grass up here, nothing green. It was a harsh world devoid of other colours. From where Ballista stood, the road up to the pass was steep, no more than 10 paces wide, and carved out of the sheer cliff on the left. The rocks above looked loose, prone to avalanche. Climbing, one false move, one piece of ill fortune, and a man would be lost, sliding and scrabbling, tearing his fingernails on the sharp rocks in a hopeless attempt to stop himself crashing back to the unyielding road. Most likely, he would be swept over the side, down into the ravine below in a hail of debris, taking his companions with him to their doom. The mountain on the other side of the pass was higher, if anything more rugged and daunting. Yet on the march Ballista had noticed valleys opening off the route. Not every one could be a dead end. They should have been explored. The stamp of boots and the jingle of equipment heralded the return of Rikia, and ended further speculation. Ballista unbuckled his military belt,